So in the corporates, they say a failed entrepreneur is equal to an employee having 10 years of experience. This is the value for a failed entrepreneur, right? So whether you want to start your own business or whether you want to excel in your job career wherever you are, whether you may be a doctor or engineer, anybody, this entrepreneurial mindset is very important. Entrepreneurial mindset is not about exploiting the patients and taking more money from them. It's not like that. Entrepreneurial mindset is, it consists of 15 competencies. The behavioral scientists, they have studied and they have given 15 competencies which they have identified in successful entrepreneurs. Like it consists of competencies like initiative, seizing action opportunities, information seeking, persistence, all these things are there, commitment to work contract. These kind of competencies form the entrepreneurial mindset basically. Okay, so nowadays people are seeking such people, corporates, companies, maybe hospitals, anybody, they want people with such mindset. Okay, so this entrepreneurial mindset cannot be developed in anybody by reading a book or listening to a lecture. So today you attended this lecture, immediately you develop entrepreneurial mindset, that will not happen. Okay, so you can only develop it by practicing it in your real life. So it requires some time. So why is it so that I told you earlier, 2 crore people are joining the job market every year, less than 1 crore are actually placed, right? And if you see how many of them are actually becoming entrepreneurs, that is also very less out of the 2 crore who finished their education, right? So there's something wrong in the way the education system is running, right? It's not, everything is not correct, right? So that is exactly what we are going to discuss now in my discussion. And after that, there is another speaker, he will talk about entrepreneurship and the different government schemes and support that you get from the government for entrepreneurship. Okay, so the topic which I've been given is Indian education system, then, now and the way forward. So it so happened, okay, we'll continue the discussion after seeing this video, short video.
And only 4 responded, and then ultimately only one for $1,000 anytime you guys come back.
And that's all she needed, her first opportunity. She moved to Chicago to work at a lab as a research assistant, and there she fell in love with science. She spent all her time researching physics and engineering, and then she got another internship at NASA, and then she got a master's at Ohio State and a PhD at MIT, all in less than 13 years of hard work.
Well, in the last
She raised $11 million, right? So I think it's equal to somewhere around 100 crore rupees, right? So just imagine once you finish your graduation, by the time you finish your graduation, you could raise 100 crore. Okay, is it? So what do you think of such kind of opportunities? So would you be interested if you get such opportunities in your campus? Huh? No. Some of them are shaking their heads no. Okay, so we are doing exactly that. Actually, I am from an organization called Hand in Hand Academy for Social Entrepreneurship. So recently, your college signed an MOU with our organization. So we are supporting your college in setting up a startup incubation center here. So any students having innovative ideas like what she showed there, it may be you would have innovative ideas in healthcare or dental related anything. So if you have any innovative ideas, we facilitate funding for your ideas up to 10 lakhs. Okay. And then we also guide you in how to commercialize it, how to patent it, or how to license it to others, how to generate revenues. All those things is going to start here in your campus. Okay. So December only we signed the MOU. We are going to start the activities shortly. Okay, so a lot of such things are already happening in our country also, off late, maybe from last 6-7 years. 10 years or 15 years before, such things were not there in our country. So nowadays it's happening, last 6-7 years, all these things are happening. School students are getting funding support up to 50 lakhs. School students. There is a program called Atal Tinkering Lab in the government of India. So their school students, I have mentored several such students. So 8th standard, 9th standard students coming up with ideas related to robotics, IoT, cloud computing, they get 50 lakh funding. This is the new India. Right? So a lot of things we'll discuss now during our session. So top 10 universities in the US, MIT, Stanford, all those things, right? So MIT, they've contributed a lot. The internet which we are using today is a byproduct from MIT. There was a startup working in MIT who developed internet. The emails which you are using today was developed there, MIT. MS Excel sheet which we use in the computers was developed there. Right? Radar systems which is used in the defense was developed there. So it was all developed by startups working at MIT long back. 30-40 years back, right? So, long back in the US and in the West, the education institutions developed themselves as a hub for innovation. They contributed several products to the society. They contributed several unicorns. Unicorn is a company valued at $1 billion. They contributed several unicorns. All the Microsoft, IBM, they're all coming from different universities, different education institutes, right? So when you compare it with our education system here in India, so do you feel it is the same? Huh? Is it the same? Okay. So why is it not the same, or what is the difference? Why our education system was not up to that mark? Now a lot of changes are being brought. I will tell those changes also, what all is happening. So how it was earlier, all those things we'll discuss. So it so happened during the British rule, once Gandhiji was mocked by some British officers that we Britishers, we brought this education system to your country. You were all illiterates, you were all snake charmers, you were knowing nothing. We brought the education system here. This is what Britishers told Gandhiji. Is it correct? Okay. So Gandhiji told, since he replied that no, I don't agree with what you're telling. Indian education system has a very rich background. We had a good education system earlier also when you were not there also, like that he told. But they didn't agree, the British officers. They asked for a proof. So Gandhiji didn't have any proof to give. So he kept silent. Then he had several followers, right? So one of his followers, Mr. Dharampal, his name is Dharampal, he is the one. He was one of the followers of Gandhiji. He took it as a challenge and he went to the European countries, England and several other countries. He went to their libraries, referred their archives and did extensive study on what was the education system that was there in India before the invasions, before British invasion. So he actually published a book called The Beautiful Tree, which is very popular. It is there in the market. And whatever the study he has done, whatever the findings he has got, based on that, and I will show you some very startling, surprising facts. Okay, so can you make out what is this? Nalanda University. Have you heard about it? Nalanda University was burnt in 1200 CE by the Muslim invaders, right? Bakhtiyar Khilji, he was part of Delhi Sultanate. So they burned it. It burned for 6 months, it seems, that university. They burned the library, the books, everything. So the fire was burning for 6 months. So many books were there. Right? So the knowledge that was there in those libraries were unimaginable and highly valuable. So what we lost at Nalanda, there were literatures related to zoology, botany, medicine, 64 arts of science, right? And several Buddhist texts, Panini texts, lot of things were there. We don't even know what we lost. Astronomy, architecture, construction related literatures were there, it seems. Okay. So, have you studied about this in your schools? Arithmetic progression, geometric progression. Right? So, this was already proposed by our very popular mathematician Aryabhatta in 400 CE, long back before British invaders. Right? So, Britishers didn't teach us math, right? We already knew. So, Aryabhatta timeline is 400 CE. Right? So, people say that India only contributed 0, right? So, you can see here there is 1, 2 and all. It was there in our text, right, long back in 400 CE, right? Pi value was even there in Aryabhatta's literature. You can see here the pi value 3.1416, long back in 400 CE, right? So Kerala School of Astronomy and Mathematics, so they have done a very extensive study on different schools and colleges which were there before British invasion or before British education system. Right, so there were a lot of very rich literatures found related to calculus, differentiation and integration. Right, have you studied it in your degree? 11, 12. Right? Trigonometry, derivatives, all these things were there in our Kerala School of Mathematics and Astronomy. Right? So you can see here a lot of similarities, Sanskrit words, you can see here. Patha, in English, path. Right? Aksh, in English it is axis. Dwar, in English, door. Right? Naam, in English, Sanskrit, in English it's name. Right? Madhyam in Sanskrit, medium in English. Geometria in Sanskrit, in English is geometry. Trigonometry in Sanskrit, trigonometry. Right? Anamika in Sanskrit, anonymous in English. So there was one British collector in Madras province. So all these areas, Chengalpet, Chennai, all belong to Madras province earlier in the British Raj, right? So there was a collector, his name was Thomas Munro. Okay, so it seems before they brought in the Indian Education Act. So when was it brought? Indian Education Act, 1835. 1835, Lord Macaulay brought the Indian Education Act, right? So before they brought the Indian Education Act, the Britishers did an extensive study for 15 years about our education system, Indian education system, which was already there. Okay, so from 1815 to 1835, the British officers all across the country, right from Afghanistan to Kanyakumari, they have done extensive study. And in that period, 1815 to 1835, there was only one school in England. Only one school. In India, there were 7 lakh schools. In India. This was how rich our education system was, which you are not taught in your schools and colleges. All these things. Right? You are all given different point of views and different perspectives. Right? The real fact you are not taught, right? So in 1850 to 1835 in India there were 7 lakh villages. In each village there was a school. Whereas in England there was only one school. In our schools, our children were taught mathematics, science, apart from other subjects. They were studying 16 subjects in our schools. In England, one school, they were only studying Bible. That's it. This was their education system back then. So they did a study for 20 years about what was the education system here, and they copied all of those things there, and repackaged it as if they have given it to us. This is what will happen. Okay. So you can see here Thomas Munro's report during that 1850 to 1835 study. 1823 is the timeline you can see here. I have given that screenshot. You can see here Visakhapatnam, Rajahmundry, Chengalpet is there. I think here. Chengalpet is here. Tanjore, Malabar, Arcot, all these places are here. You can see here. So actually what we are told in our schools that there was a lot of caste discrimination, right? In ancient India, a lot of caste discrimination was there. Only Brahmins, they were given the education. Other castes, they were deprived from education. This is what we studied in our school, right? Whereas you can see here in the screenshot, we'll take the Chengalpet area. Your college is in Chengalpet district now. Brahmin percentage in the schools was 12.8%. This is not, I am not saying this, the Britishers are saying this. Thomas Munro's report. Okay. 12.8% is only the Brahmin who are studying in the schools. Rest everyone are different castes. You can see here the Shudras, they were 71.5% in our schools before British education system. But all of us have studied in our school that ancient India was caste discriminatory. 71.5% in the schools were Shudras. Right? Which Thomas Munro, a British collector, is telling us in 1823. Right? So you can see here the colleges in 1830. Leave alone the schools, there were colleges also. So you can see here 69 colleges, 49 colleges. This is all Tamil Nadu only. I am showing it. Tamil Nadu states. Okay. Lot of colleges were there. So each college, they were calling it as a, there was a head heading a college, he was called a Kulapati. His designation was Kulapati. Whereas in British system it is principal. A Kulapati was responsible, he was handling 10,000 students. Okay. Kulapati was handling 10,000 students. Right? Whereas in our now present colleges, principals, they struggle to handle even 2,000, 3,000 students, right? And the cherry on the cake is that all these things, whatever I am telling you, the schools, colleges which are all run, were 100% free. 100% free, no cost of education back then, before British. Education was imparted in our schools and colleges at 100% free of cost. There was no financial implications. Okay, so it was all based on community donations. Donations were given by maybe the kings or the businessmen or different households. They were giving donations. There was no fees. Anybody could give any much of donation. I could give 5 rupees, somebody could give 1 lakh. It was not fixed, but the students could go there and study for free. This was the system, right? So you can see here what was studied at our colleges, in our schools and colleges before introduction of British education system. So Brahmins, they were studying basically philosophy, metaphysics, spirituality, those kind of things. The other caste, you can see here, the Shudras, they were studying science, medical science, astronomy, shipbuilding, right? These are metallurgy. These are all studied by the Shudras. Whereas in our school, what we have been taught, Shudras didn't have any education. The Shudras were studying metallurgy, shipbuilding, construction, textile, astronomy, medical science. One more very interesting thing I will show you in the next slide related to your medical science. Okay, and you can see here it is also been noted that adherence of jati to discipline was not rigid. That means if anybody was born in a Shudra caste, could even become a Brahmin. Surprising, right? They were all taught in a different way, right? It was not like that. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Chaturvarnyam Maya Shishyam Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. That means the 4 castes, Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, was created by the God based on the quality, not based on the birth. Brahmin's son will become a Brahmin, not like that. Will doctor's son become a doctor? No, right? So Brahmin's son by the birth cannot become a Brahmin unless and until he or she develops those qualities. That was what is there in our culture, which was twisted, manipulated because of the invasions. Okay, because they wanted to divide and rule, so they twisted and manipulated it. So you can see here, a Shudra could become a Brahmin also if he developed those qualities. Okay, that is a different discussion which we will have if we find time later on. Okay. Colleges in Madras Presidency, before introduction of British education, you can see here Chengalpet region, there was 508 colleges in Chengalpet region. In before 1835 I am talking. This is 1823 Thomas Munro's report which I am showing you. This is not my version. Right? Okay, so now coming to the interesting thing which I told you that I will tell you about, which is related to medicine. So there were 4 Anglo-Mysore wars fought. 4 Anglo-Mysore wars. So there was another presidency adjacent to Madras Presidency called Mysore Presidency. So at that time in the Mysore Presidency, this Hyder Ali, Tipu Sultan, they were there. So the Mysore Presidency and British, they fought 4 wars. It's called Anglo-Mysore Wars. 4 Anglo-Mysore Wars. So in the second Anglo-Mysore War, it so happened, Hyder Ali defeated the British army. And the British commander, his name is Colonel Coote. The commander was Colonel Coote. In those times and all, it was not like if you defeat an enemy, you will kill them or cut their head, or it was not like that. They would maybe cut some hand or a leg or cut their nose like that. That was what they would do. So Hyder Ali cut the nose of Colonel Coote. So that indicated their defeat, indicated the defeat of British. So immediately it so happened, Colonel Coote, he escaped and ran away from the battleground and went to a place called Belagavi. It is there in Karnataka. And in Belagavi there was a hospital. I'm talking about before British education system was introduced. All these things happened before British education system was introduced here. Okay. So Kallanpur, so you can see it's 1784. British education was introduced in India 1835. So Kallanpur escaped and went to a hospital. There was a hospital in a small village in Belgaum, which is there in North Karnataka. And there was a doctor, he did a plastic surgery and repaired his nose. This is recorded in the history, which we are not taught in our schools. Right? Way back before the British education system, our people knew how to do plastic surgery, operations, lot of things about medicine. Right? So, the interesting thing here is that Kallanpur, that plastic surgery was done to him. He didn't feel any pain. It seems he was given anesthesia. So anesthesia also our ancestors knew before British education. Right? So institutions of higher learning in medicine and surgery. Right? So what was all taught in our colleges, ancient Indian colleges? General principles of medicine, pathology. Pathology was taught. Physician ethics, embryology was taught in our ancient colleges. Right? Then sensory organ based prognosis, therapeutics, pharmaceutics, toxicology, all these things were already taught in our colleges. Right? So in 1835, Macaulay brought in the Indian Education Act. So what did the Indian Education Act do? They put a legal term that all the Indian system, whatever the Indian system of education was there, everything was illegal with one line of Indian Education Act. They made our Indian education system illegal. That was the Indian Education Act 1835. So they said whatever the colleges and schools that you are running, it's all illegal. We are going to start the schools, that is only legal. You have to come to our schools and study. What you are studying is illegal. If you go to your school, you will be jailed. That is Indian Education Act 1837. Right? So as a result, what happened? You can see here 1851 and 1881, you can see the literacy rate fell down like anything, like seesaw or a slide. So by the end of 1881, all of us were branded as illiterates by the Britishers. We all became illiterates because of Indian Education Act. All those 7 lakh schools which were there in India, they became illegal. Right? So back then, before British education system, do you know, it's surprising to note that who were doing the surgeries? Do you know that? Who are the ones who are doing the surgeries? Is it the Brahmin community, Vaishya community, Kshatriya community or the Shudra community? Who are the ones who are doing the surgeries? This Colonel Coot who I told about, the surgery, the plastic surgery who did for him, the surgeon, the doctor who did the surgery, he came from a barber community. Surprising. Barber community people were the surgeons earlier in our system because they had the hand skills. Right? So you can ask some 2-3 generations before, if anybody, age-old people are there in your families, you can ask them. I also inquired with my ancestors. You can ask some of them if they are there. During those times, if any lady would suffer from labor pains, they would call a barber, because the barbers were the surgeons at those times. They were doing the surgery operations. Right? So after Indian Education Act, after the Britishers came up with all different laws, what did they do? They put these barbers into a reserved community. This SC, ST name was given by them, right? Scheduled caste, scheduled tribe. So barbers were suddenly, they became scheduled caste, scheduled tribe. So whatever the respect they had in our society, everything gone. So the higher upper caste, they were fed that these are all scheduled caste. They are all lower caste. So that's how they brought in the divide and rule concept. That's how they divided our society, the Britishers. Otherwise, the barbers, they had a very high respect in our society. The potters, they were having so high respect in our society because eating food in a pot, food cooked in a pot is more healthy than what we eat in the food cooked in cookers. So according to Ayurveda, it says food, if it is cooked after the sun set, it is equal to poison, it says. This is what Ayurveda says, I am not telling you. Okay, so food cooked without sunlight falling on it is equal to poison. So that is why our ancient people, they were cooking food in pots openly so that sunlight would fall on it. So all of us are cooking our food in the cookers neatly closed, right? So that sunlight doesn't fall on it. So it's as good as we are eating poison, according to Ayurveda. Right? So the pottery people who were making the pots for us, because of that we were having healthy food. They were seen at a very higher strata by our ancestors. Because of Britishers, they put them in SC category. They lost their respect. And the society divided. Caste system, that's how it was created by the Britishers. Because of manipulation and divide and rule. Right? So you can see at 1881 what happened? Sharp slide in literacy rate. Right? So this is what Macaulay says in his speech in British Parliament. Okay, I will read it out to you. It's very interesting to see here. My dear father, this is what he says. Who is telling this? Macaulay. Macaulay was the one who brought the Indian Education Act, 1837. Okay. So this is what he says. Our English schools are flourishing wonderfully. The effect of this education on the Hindus is prodigious. No Hindu who has received an English education ever continues to be sincerely attached to his religion. This was their intention. If our plans of education are followed up, there will not be a single idolater. Idolater, according to Bible, worshipping an idol, it is not allowed according to Bible. So, if we go to temple and we worship, but according to us it's a deity, it's a living deity according to our tradition. According to them it's a soul, it's an idol. So that is what he's telling here, idolaters. We are all branded as idolaters by them basically. So he says, if our plans of education are followed up, there will not be a single idolater among the respectable classes in Bengal 30 years since. That means they wanted to completely convert us in 30 years. And this will be effected without any efforts, proselytize, without the smallest interference with religious liberty, merely by natural operation of knowledge and recollection. I heartily rejoice this prospect. This is what he said, Macaulay. So the noble intentions of British Education Act, what were their noble intentions? To develop inferiority complex among us, basically. To tell us that whatever you have studied, it's all mythology. It is all superstitions. Whatever you are following, it's all false. You don't know anything. This is what they told us, right? And we believed it. So to develop inferiority complex among Indians about our own culture, mispropaganda about Indian history and traditions, religious conversions, develop slave mentality. That's what we became, right? Slaves. Even now we are slaves to English. Develop clerks who shall serve the British officers. Right? So you can see this is the background of education system which we are following now, the school education system. the college education system which is prevalent now in our country. This is the background, the British Indian Education Act 1835. So almost 70-75% of whatever the education system we are following, it's all based on the Indian Education Act, right? So that is why this is the result. 2 crore people are adding on to the job market every year, less than 50% are getting jobs. Why is it so? Because of this. Because the education system was made only to develop clerks, nothing else. We are all taught in the schools and colleges to mug up and vomit on paper. That's all, right? We are not given practical learning, experiential learning. That and all is not part of our education, right? So a maths teacher will teach you to solve a problem in only one way, which is according to the syllabus. The same problem can be solved in 10 different ways, which the maths teacher will not tell you. Because it's not as per the syllabus. Because this concept came from Indian Education Act. Follow the syllabus, only follow what I say. Don't question me, don't come up with new ideas, don't think out of the box. This is Indian Education Act 1835. So the root cause of the problem is there actually, Indian education. Okay. So now we'll see what the government is actually doing now to change that. What all steps are being taken by the government of India to change those slave mentality and colonial mentality. So what all things are being taken up? So we'll see those things. Very interesting, you just see this video. Through a program called Atal Tinkering Lab. So Atal Tinkering Lab is a program under Atal Innovation Mission, Niti Aayog, wherein this Atal Tinkering Labs are being established, have been established across 10,000 schools right now in our country. So in each school, the students are being taught about robotics, cloud computing, game designing, animation, different aspects about latest technologies. So the students are encouraged to come up with innovative ideas. They come up with prototypes, proof of concepts. They are being trained on how to write a business plan, how to write a pitch deck, how to present their ideas. Okay. So among the 10,000 schools, 200 schools get selected every year. Those 200 schools are being mentored by Atal Incubation Centers, and finally 50 schools get an opportunity to present their ideas at a national level event. So out of those 50 schools, nearly 20 students or 20 to 25 students get selected. They get a funding support of 50 lakhs, 50. So school students get a funding of 50 lakhs to convert their idea into a product. So this is what is happening. This project started in 2016, 2016. Now it's already 7-year-old project. So a lot of school students are coming up with innovation with funding support. They are also starting companies. So right from the school level, the innovation it is being driven by the different interventions by the government.
Atal Innovation Mission, in collaboration with UVA and UNICEF, proudly presents the 18th.
Okay. So this earlier slide actually, since we are running out of time, I am not showing this video. So this is about one entrepreneur. His name is Tilak Mehta, and he has started a company called Papers and Parcels. It's a app-based, digital-based company, basically a courier company which delivers courier on the same day. Courier is delivered on the same day. The owner of the company, his name is Tilak Mehta. He is 13-year-old, 13-year-old entrepreneur, and the company now it's worth 100 crores. It's a 100 crore company. Okay, so because we are shortage of time, I am not showing that video. It's a very interesting video. So several BMKVY centers have been established by the government. Even in Tamil Nadu, they have established Tamil Nadu Skill Development Corporation, wherein the graduates who come out of their colleges, they get on-the-job training and skill training, which is based on industrial standards, and they get placed in the industry. So you can see here a lot of things have happened there. So a lot of young graduates, they have got placed in different companies. Training have been given related to different sectors: electronics, hardware, telecom, apparel, finance sectors, IT. A lot of things are there. The new education policy was brought in 2020 to change the education system. So the Indian Education Act, which was conceived in 1835 to develop clerks. So that system is being changed slowly because suddenly it cannot be changed. So gradual changes are being brought through different interventions. So NEP, National Education Policy, is also one such intervention by the government to change the system, basically change the way how we are taught. So the education system in the future will be more focused on experiential learning, practical oriented, skill oriented, rather than theoretical oriented, mugging up and vomiting on paper. Such things will be avoided. It will be more based on skill and practical oriented education. NRF ranking. So even all the education institutions like your college also is supposed to follow the NRF rules, National Innovation and Research Framework, NIRF framework. So the colleges will be ranked based on their activities related to research and development, innovation, startup promotion. So all these things will be looked into. What are the colleges doing related to this? They will be ranked. So slowly the MBA, NAC and all will be removed. NIRF will be continued. So NIRF will focus only on practical learning, R&D, innovation, these kind of things. So Sri Vishwakarma Skill University, the first skill university in India, was started some 4-5 years back in near Delhi, in Gurugram. Okay, so in this university they are focusing only on practical learning aspects, experiential learning based things. Startup India program, which other speaker will talk about later. So you can see 84,000 startups have been created with nearly 100 plus unicorns. So India has become the third largest startup ecosystem in the world. Okay, 118 accelerator programs, 50 plus government seed funded programs, right? So finally I would end with these tips for you. Be inquisitive, be curious, try to gain practical knowledge. I think you are all gaining practical knowledge in your dental studies, but still focus on practical knowledge. Try to interact with strangers, new people, read new books every month. New books means not novels, maybe management related books or motivation related books. Try to observe interesting things around you. It may be a movie, it may be a cartoon. And last but not the least, try to meditate 15 minutes every day because it will give you an inner strength and intuition to come up with new ideas. So with this, I would like to end my discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for engaging the students and also touching the sensitive topics in an engaging manner. So, education system, we have a good idea from where we begin, what is going on. So, you students have the responsibility to take it further one step ahead, right? So, education was not being offered for everyone previously. Now, but the opportunity is getting bigger and bigger. So, equality is getting shared by everyone. So at the same time, I just want you students to at least in near future, if you have some amount of financial stability, try to provide education to any person who is not able to afford it. Okay, I just want you to take a message on this. And second thing I want to say that our country has been developed from zero. We were at the top 100 position and we went to zero. We went to even minus, and again we just come up in a good manner. It is just because we stuck our education based on our culture. Okay, we just build our trust and we just gave our full importance on intuition. So we didn't trust on religion or anything. If you just see in the video in the YouTube, you can just find it. I think he's an African member secretary like that. He just said only one thing, that he told how India has been developed, why Africa has not developed. He just gave a simple statement. Have you seen the video? What's in the video? So in the video, we just said only one thing, small thing. See, in Africa, so if you are not interested, you can just go, no problem, and we have adequate number of participants also. Okay, so just want to conclude one thing, because I think it is very important you to know. We just said only one thing. We Africans, they just stuck to the religion. They just stuck to the language. To the Americans, British dressing room, our dressing habit, our மொழி பழக்கங்கள் உணவு முறைகள் அவங்களோட கல்ச்சர் இதெல்லாமே அவங்க எடுத்துட்டாங்க. பட் அதில் ப்ரொஃபஷனல் எத்திக்ஸ் வந்து விட்டுட்டாங்க. அது சேம் டைம் இட்ஸ் கால்ட் மெக்கானிக்கல் ஸ்கில்ஸ்லாம் விட்டுட்டாங்க. இந்த அமெரிக்கன்ஸ் சொல்லி ஜஸ்ட் இங்கிலீஷ் பேசலாம் வந்து டாப்பான விஷயம், ரொம்ப பெருமையான விஷயம். அது அவங்க ட்ரெஸ் பண்ண அவங்கள ட்ரெஸ் பண்ணால் நம்ம பெரிய ஆக முடியும், அவங்கள மாதிரி சாப்பிட்டா தான் பெரிய ஆக முடியும், அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு ஐடியா இருந்துச்சு. ஸோ அதனால் அவங்க அப்படியே இருக்காங்க. ஆனால் இந்தியன்ஸ் வந்து ஃபுல்லாக விட்டாங்க. நம்ம இன்னும் அதே விதமான ட்ரெஸ்ஸு விடல, நம்ம பேச மொழி விடல, நம்ம உணவு விடல. ஆனால் அந்த எஜுகேஷன் வந்து பிரிட்டிஷோட ஒரு சின்ன வந்து மெக்கானிக் எப்படி அவங்க ஓவர் கம் பண்ணாங்கன்னு. பட் அட் சேம் டைம் தி மேட் அந்த எஜுகேஷனில் போகும்போதும் ஒரு சின்ன ட்விஸ்ட் வச்சாங்க. சார் நம்ம குமாஸ்தை படிக்கலாம் கரெக்டாக. என் ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸில் முக்காஸ் பேர் இல்லை ப்ளஸ் படிக்கலாம் பாக்கி அப்படின்னா, ஏன்னா மைண்ட் செட் ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்காக அவங்க மைண்ட் அவ்வளோ தோணும். அவங்க என்ன தான் படித்து டாக்டர் படிச்சாங்க இல்லை நம்ம கரெக்டாக தான் செட் ஆகும். ஏன்னா அந்த எஜுகேஷன் சிஸ்டம் இப்போ தான் இருந்துச்சு. ஸோ யூ நீட் டு develop. So I think this is a very enlightening class. Thank you for this.